Flow is an animated adventure film directed by Gints Zilbalodis, written and produced by Zilbalodis and Matisse Kaja. The film follows a solitary cat who becomes displaced by a great flood and finds refuge on a boat with various species, navigating the challenges of adapting to a transforming world together. This review will be spoiler-free. I finally got a chance to see this film after it had been on my radar for a while. When it became the first Latvian film to win an Oscar, winning Best Animated Feature, there was no way I wasn't going to check it out when it came to a cinema near me. Hollywood, take notes. This is the kind of film that we have been missing when it comes to recent animated films. This is a wonderful film about different kinds of animals coming together and putting aside their differences to brave dramatically rising water levels. There is a dog, a capybara, a lemur, a secretary bird, but our protagonist that we follow is a cat. It is this small cat's odyssey through different terrain and weather. Where most animated films will depict animals in a very human way, this one depicts them very realistically. They do not talk, they only make the noises that they make in real life, and their facial expressions are not exaggerated. Despite this realistic portrayal, this is a story that could easily be translated into a human story, and one that humans can relate to. We should all put aside our differences, go with the flow, and sail the storm together. As an audience member, it doesn't take long to discover that there are no humans left. This is a seemingly post-apocalyptic world. Houses and cities are overgrown and abandoned, and we see how animals would survive without us and how their intelligence would develop. The brains of these animals have been forced to grow in our absence. Despite this realistic approach, there is a visceral, dreamlike quality to this film that makes it feel surreal, especially when it becomes more abstract in its third act. The film was animated in the free and open source software Blender. No storyboards were used for the production, and there are no deleted scenes. The vision is tight, every moment is transfixing and vital to moving the story along. This is the kind of film many would describe as a film where nothing happens, but it is all in the imagery and the themes, and I was never bored. At first, you aren't sure where it is going, but if you let it take you, let it wash over you and just feel it, it will be a rewarding sensory experience. I said that the facial expressions were not exaggerated, and yet you can easily read what the characters are feeling because of how great the animation is. It is very meticulously thought out. I am so impressed that this small team were able to create something that feels so refreshing and vibrant with a software like Blender and with such a small budget. The film is confident, as it should be. It hits all the notes that it wants to hit. They clearly used every penny, and it is quite inspiring. For much of the film, the animals are on a boat. The idea of this diverse group of animals navigating a boat gives the film that slightly whimsical feeling that will make it fun for children. Even when off the boat, the camera is simulating handheld movements in really long takes, absent of excessive editing. This is really great because it commands your attention and it makes the whole thing feel real. You get to take in the scenery, and you always feel just as small as these animals. With very little in the way of establishing shots, there is a lot of us looking up at things from the animal's perspective and just being in the animal's space. There is a posterized look to the animation that gives it a unique feeling, not dissimilar to what DreamWorks have been doing recently. I prefer this sort of look to the smooth 3D look that Disney implores, as this has the sort of spirit of a painting or of 2D animation. I liked Inside Out 2 well enough, but the brain rot pacing of that film really frustrated me and almost offended me to some extent. It's the kind of pandering to low attention spans that Disney should not be doing. You are assuming children have low attention spans, and maybe you're contributing to creating them if they don't already have them. Art should be used to challenge viewers. I saw Flow in a small cinema, but it was at capacity with quite a few kids in the room. Despite the slow pace, the lack of action and absence of dialogue, everyone in the room was glued to the screen. This doesn't really treat the material like it's a children's film just because it's animated. It just treats it as a film, and therefore it respects all of its demographics. Kids will watch this and feel like they're not being talked down to. They have to read between the lines. There's no expository dialogue. In my cinema, the kids were laughing at the interactions between the animals based on just minimalistic facial expressions that convey thoughts and feelings about other characters' actions. Even when they didn't approve of each other or were annoyed by each other, they still banded together to survive. This is a good message. There were a few times when the kids in the cinema were talking to their parents. However, it was always about the film. It was never because they were bored or inconsiderate of the people around them. They would ask why a character is doing something, or where they are going, or just say wow at what was on the screen. I don't like it when people talk during movies, none of us do, but you give a pass to kids when they are actually engaging with the material. And the parents were still respectful, reminding their kids to be quiet. So this was overall an ideal and great experience at the movies. The reason I bring up all these points about the cinema experience is because it illustrates that when you put something that has true passion behind it on the screen, that wants to teach the audience something, that wants to wow them and give them an experience and do it well, the audience will be entertained and they will be provoked intellectually. Kids need films like this. We all do. It is a shame that its release isn't as wide as it should be. It is a meaningful story running at a perfect 84 minutes. Despite the simple approach, the animation is stunning, especially in its third act. This is the best animated movie of 2024, and just one of the best movies of 2024, period.